It's so stupid. No one's going to use this. What is this titled? Genius Inventions We Don't Deserve. No one deserves this because it's shit. Back in 2009, one amazing new product was attracting some rave reviews from deliriously happy customers. Finally! I've been waiting all my life for somebody to design something like this. The inventor must surely be in line for a Nobel Peace Prize. I can't believe it only took $4 to buy what undoubtedly is the greatest invention of the last 100 years. What the hell is this?
Is it crack?
This product arrived just in the nick of time. There is no doubt in my mind that it saved me from serving 30 years in prison for murder. Well, probably about 10 with good behaviour. I'm not a bloody animal. So only just a bit of light murder. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of
Brain Blaze.
I am Blaze Boy, Fact Boy, boy with the blaze, generic, bald, bearded, glasses-wearing YouTuber Simon, and what happens here if you're new is Danny has put me together a wonderful script. I'm going to read it, maybe make it a little bit more and then Sam is going to sprinkle, he's our video editor, he's going to sprinkle in some of the finest of vintage memes and maybe some modern memes, depending on, well, how the day strikes him, I suppose. It's often said that the most brilliant inventions of history are beautifully simple, the kind of thing that makes you ponder, why did I think of that shit? I'm pretty sure that when the wheel was invented for the very first time, some bright spark piped up that he could have designed something similar over his lunch break if he hadn't been so busy killing his next door neighbours. But the truth is that it often takes a certified genius. I don't think that, is there such a thing as certified getting your genius? I suppose you could join Mensa or some shit. I don't think that's a real certification. It's just kind of like, look at me, who's a big brain.
Stop it. Get some help.
To tease out the perfect simplicity in such an overcomplicated and chaotic world. And that's the story behind this product from 2009, which generated such a buzz from those forward-thinking customers who dared to take a step into the new tomorrow. I get the feeling it's going to be a bit shit, because that's the sort of garden path that Danny often meanders down with us. However, the problem that it solves is not a problem that I've ever personally encountered in my own personal life. Apparently, stolen sandwiches from the communal fridge in the workplace is quite a frequent criminal occurrence. Yeah, I suppose it is technically a crime. I'm like, criminal? Please. It's like, no, I guess that's theft, isn't it? It's probably technically theft.
And you call the police and said, hey, someone stole the milk from my fridge. Find out that milk, please.
And I imagine it must feel quite annoying if you're looking forward to tucking into your pickled onion sandwiches, only to find that the office thief has struck again. And no matter how much detective work you put in, no matter how many furious emails you send out and how many name labels you stick onto the polythene bags, you just know you're running the same risks again tomorrow. Yeah, I have to say I'm pretty glad. I've never worked in a big office. I've worked in like a small office, and it'd be like, if anyone stole the from the fridge, I'd be like, well, it's probably not the boss, and there's only one other dude here, so I'd be like, you motherfucker, did you steal my sandwich? No. What sandwich? This just wouldn't have happened in any of the offices I ever worked at in Rotherham. If someone had just been going around stealing sandwiches, that guy would have been swiftly identified and dangled out of the top window until he learned his lesson. But a less drastic solution would have been the fabulous anti-theft lunch bag dreamed up by Sherwood Forley and Mihoko Aoi? Wichi? Oh god, I don't know, I'm so sorry. And briefly available on Amazon and the Perpetual Kid website. Priced at just $4 a pop, these transparent plastic zipper bags came with tinted green patches on both sides, which made the sandwiches look as if they'd gone hideously moldy after months of gluing egg. That is actually genius. I mean, Nobel Peace Prize, no, but that is actually, I mean, it's got to line up and but that is still very cool. Even the stickiest of fingers are likely to lose their appetite when they catch a glimpse of just how far these mold-infested sandwiches appear to have ventured beyond their sell-by date, or they'll at least decide to nick somebody else's lunch instead. Genius. I remember when I was a kid, we had a common room at school, and we had it was a kitchen, but we didn't call it a kitchen. We called it a brew room. Oh my god, blast from the past. There was a common room and there was the brew room, which I guess like BREW for like brewing tea and coffee and
Cool. This coffee smells like shit.
There was also a toaster in there. And so you could bring in your own breads. There'd be like provided bread. There'd be some bread. But like, imagine a bunch of 13-year-olds, and there's maybe, I don't know, like 50 of us or whatever, and there's like 4 loaves of bread or 2 loaves of bread or whatever. They're brought from the canteen up, and then it's like we can make some toast and it's like that bread is savaged within about 4 minutes, and there's no bread left. So you could bring your own bread into school, like keep it in your own personal locker, and then toast up some bread. I remember one time I lost my locker key. And it was like the 4th time I'd lost it. So I was like, oh God, I can't tell my parents that I lost my locker key again. They're going to go mental. And so I just didn't tell anyone. Just didn't use the textbooks that are in there. I was like, well, I guess that locker's done. Never going to use that again. But there was a loaf of bread in there. And that bread went so... And these lockers were fairly well sealed. And I can't remember what eventually got me to open that locker. It was like I really needed something. So it didn't smell because it was so well sealed. But when we took out that loaf of bread, like when the maintenance came in and they clipped the lock off that locker, it was green liquid. It had been in there so long, it was disgusting.
Dirty mother.
And yes, eventually I had to tell my parents after months that I needed a new lock for my locker. But it was better because, as far as they know, I hadn't just lost it the week before. Fun story, fact boy, why don't you get on with the facts? But the co-inventor Sherwood Forley would go on to design a stack of other simple but quite brilliant new concepts, including a mug with a rim which looks as if it's been heavily stained with a big dollop of coffee and lipstick to deter anyone else from borrowing it. I like this, but these are very clever. But most notably of all, he invented the double-sided jar. If you find it a hassle when you have to scoop out the last remaining bits of gunk from the jar with a spoon, this invention provides a cunning solution by putting another lid on the bottom of the jar for double entrance convenience. That is actually wizardry, you legend.
You are a wizard. You're gonna go Hogwarts. You're gonna do spells. You get a wand. You get a fucking owl.
Also, inventing a jar that just had the top, you know. Say you've got your jam or whatever that you don't want anyone to eat. You put like a secret entrance in the bottom, you know, like one of those little rubber peel-off things. Put it on like that, and then just have the top bit super glued on. So like people are like, I can't open it. Although I guess they'd just be like, ah. But although the anti-theft lunch bag attracted glowing reviews, it sadly doesn't appear to be on sale anymore, at least not through any major outlets. Perhaps there were just a couple of flaws in the concept. For example, if a dutiful colleague came across the mouldy mess in the fridge, it's not entirely unfeasible that they might decide to toss your lunch in the bin. Yes, that is a problem, isn't it? Be like, oh God, that's disgusting, throw that away. I'd be like, I'm not touching that, it's not my problem. Because I'm a selfish knob. And also, maybe it's a trick thing. Maybe I'm saving someone's lunch. Why not you could just label it, like with something that no one wants to eat. Like pickled onion and gherkin sandwich. Without butter. Gluten-free bread. That, you nailed it. And inside, a delicious BLT. And although the product was also designed to help school kids from getting their lunches stolen by bullies, it's quite likely that it ends up getting even more bullied for bringing moldy sandwiches into school. You're like, your parents don't love you, do they, Timmy? Do they?
Why are you crying?
It wasn't the only invention out there designed to deter would-be lunch thieves from making off with your precious sandwiches. The cockroach clip can easily be attached to your plastic sandwich bag to make it look as if a massive dirty insect has beaten the thief to the act. Or one of my personal favourites is the quite alarming white lunch bag, which looks as if it belongs in the hospital and is decorated with a friendly warning human organ for transplant. I love it. But perhaps the best idea doesn't involve spending any money at all on novelty bags and boxes. When you're preparing your sandwiches, just be sure to take a small but conspicuous nibble out of each one before you plop them in the bag. Even the hungriest of canteen criminals is likely to take a pass on a sandwich that looks as if somebody else has already had their greasy chops on it. That, Danny, you genius legend. That is what you should do. You're welcome, office workers of the world. Perchthemerch.co to say thank you. I mean, Danny doesn't get any of that, but I mean, he does because I pay him. But it mostly lines the pockets of Fact Boy.
How dare you?
The Flask Tie. Here's one of those sneaky inventions that shies away from promoting the real purpose for which it was almost certainly designed to be used. Originally invented by Stephen Anthony in 2017 and now available from a wide range of online retailers for about $20 to $30, the Flask Tie was allegedly designed to help quench your thirst when you're stuck in a situation at work that you just can't get up and wander off to the water cooler from. Yeah, oh, I get it. It's like a hip flask, but in a tie. No one's putting water in that To the naked eye, the microfiber tie looks just like a typical tie that you'd wear to the office, albeit quite a bit wider than you might usually expect, and that's because it's hiding a 6-inch detachable pouch or bladder behind the broad end of the front blade of the tie and a tiny self-sealing tube at the top of the skinny bladder at the back. So as you're getting dressed for work, you fill up the bladder with water or fizzy pop or bongo before putting on your tie. Then, when you're later trapped in a boardroom meeting or a PowerPoint presentation or an elevator shaft, you could discreetly take a sip from your tube and feel instantly refreshed without going through the embarrassment of sticking your hand up to be excused from the room. I guess the idea is that you do fill it with booze, right? But also, I mean, if no one else is in the situation where someone's drinking, it's very immediately obvious if someone's been drinking because, like, have you been drinking? It's like, why do you stink of booze? It's like it comes out in your sweat, you can smell it on your mouth. It's not a pleasant smell.
I am not fucking drunk.
Can you tell the time?
Yes. I am not.
That's what the marketing for the Flask Tie would have you believe anyway. In truth, what they've invented here is the perfect tool for the high-functioning, raging alcoholic who desperately needs a secret sip of the good stuff before they can face dealing with another idiot customer or having another word with Kevin from accounts. Getting on those TPS reports. And the great thing about the Flask Tie is that it can be worn and used for a variety of different occasions, including boring weddings, school plays, and funerals. Just take a good suck from the heavenly tube to lift your spirits, and then you can dive right back into whatever you're doing with renewed vitality. My way of getting out of that was I bought like a flesh-coloured little earwig that sticks in your ear. It's kind of like really hidden in there. It works less good without hair. But if you've got a hat or something, you just tuck that little thing in there. No one can really see it. And then you'd be like, yeah, this is super interesting. I'm absolutely listening to a podcast right now. Everyone's a winner. You obviously don't get too much space in the 6-inch bladder, so you'll need to think wisely about your choice of poison. There's no point in going for something like Heineken, as you'll need to be filling it up and again every 2 minutes. Holy which defeats the whole point. You're probably better off with either a nice single malt whiskey or a generous measure of high-quality windshield wiper fluid with a fruit mixer, depending on your budget. I wouldn't recommend hot beverages. Let's just say, don't put cleaning fluids in something you're going to drink. Just to make that absolutely clear, don't drink that. Make you blind. Or dead. Some critics have pointed out that the Flask Tie is way too big, and it looks like something a circus clown would wear, and I'm slightly concerned that you might still get fired for drinking on the job when you're seen constantly burying your head in your tie and making curious slurping noises. Yeah, and then also passing out sometime after lunch. But I still think it could be a game changer for male alcoholics staring into the deepest depths of oblivion during working hours. It's just a pity that women alcoholics have been left out in the cold, as they're far less likely to wear a tie. Danny, it's 2021. Women can wear ties if they want to. A wine bra known as the wine rack is also, that's brilliantly named, is also available, but I don't think you're going to get away with discreetly getting that out in the workplace. Well, why not just build a straw that goes up into the strap or something? The other weird thing is that I'm assuming it's going to store the liquid around the breasts. So it's going to be like, yeah, well, you start the day like this, and as the day goes by, your breasts get smaller. That's weird. It's a very weird invention, isn't it? So whenever you see a woman in the office wearing a tie, be very suspicious. The Baby Mop. There comes a time in the lives of almost every young couple when they reach that big decision on whether they should start trying to have a family or just keep chickens instead. The good thing about chickens is they start earning their keep and laying eggs after about 18 weeks. Human children, not so much. Preach! It wasn't so bad in the olden days where you could shove them down the mines after they'd reached the ripe old age of 12, but you had to wait until they were bloody 12. But these days you could still be forking out for university fees when they're around 27. Not good at all. Yeah, dream on. That's what student loans are for. If you could only get your fresh offspring to do something vaguely useful and pull their weight in between all that crying and vomiting down their bib. In 2012, that dream became a reality. The Baby Mop was developed by New York clothing company Better Than Pants. It was essentially a cute little onesie with a special mop head attachment to the arms and legs. As your baby is crawling and wiggling around the floor and generally just pissing about, he or she is actually cleaning the floor as they go along and learning a valuable work ethic from an incredibly early age. It's so stupid. No one's going to use this. What is this titled? Genius inventions we don't deserve. No one deserves this because it's shit. As a proud parent, you can savor the precious moment when a human being becomes productive for the very first time in its life. I'm pretty sure that this is ethically sound and doesn't break any child exploitation laws, as the baby would have been crawling around on all fours anyway. Why not get them to do a bit of cleaning while they're at it? Danny, are you a lawyer? No. Sounds like child exploitation to me, doesn't it?
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
The interesting thing about Baby Mop is that it was inspired by a joke, and it remains a joke. I mean, it's a product that exists, but the product is a joke. The idea first surfaced in 1990s in a spoof TV commercial in Japan, which was later expanded upon in the Saturday Night Live sketch promoting the Swiffer Sleepers, which enabled you to stick your kids to the end of a broom handle to reach those tricky corners of the ceiling. Whilst the real Baby Mop isn't quite as useful as that, the $40 product appears to have performed quite well. Mike Parker, the director of operations for Better Than Pants, reports that the company initially only sold about 2 or 3 Baby Mops a day, but then sales took off into crazy double digits. And scattered amongst the largely positive customer reviews are some comical golden nuggets from a few parents who may have missed the point. The floors aren't spotless since these mops aren't wet and we can't clean up dried liquids. You can experiment with spraying the kids with water or when they crawl to see if that helps. For added effectiveness, don't feed the toddler the day before, then place tiny pieces of chocolate in strategic places on the floor to make sure the whole floor gets a clean. Oh my god, this review is very hard to read. Have a bucket of Murphy solution to dip baby in periodically. What the Murphy solution? What are you talking about? Stop it.
Get some help.
We're going to have to use one of those leash things and swing the baby around a bit so we don't miss a spot. We'll see what happens. Baby not included. Ordered this expecting to receive a baby to go with it, but apparently have to buy the baby separately. Maybe on the dark web. I feel like this should have been made clearer. I tried to put it on the dog instead, but he just growled at me, suing the company for damages.
Uh-oh, retard alert!
In the long term, you're probably better off keeping chickens. Unlike humans, they don't go into a period of early retirement for 20 years when they finally learn how to walk upright. This has been an episode of
Brain Blaze.
If you want another video that's like this one that I think you will also enjoy, click on the screen. There's a link right now. Enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Look at me. Look at me, who's a big brain.